Heyo, welcome to another old session from the Wise Asylum. Then, I got you all a bit excited last week, didn't I? I saw the comments and a big thank you for thinking I'm broken. However, this little shitbag doesn't do anything without a reason. And tonight should explain last week on why I decided to do it. Even though I knew I felt like shit, I had a terrible attitude, and I was exceptionally angry. Well, cannabis. What is it? Is it a weapon? And what does it serve? That is the subject matter we're going to investigate tonight, because that's exactly what it is. And we need to know why governments around the world, on the one hand, pretend it's illegal, knowing full well everybody wants to do it. You ban something, make something illegal, everybody wants to know why and get cracking on with it. So it's all mind control, it's all crafted, everything. And I've been smoking the magic cannabis since 1989. It's a long time. And of course in those times I've had times off, etc, etc. So it's not been an absolute consistent Because, of course, if there were ever any times I were in trouble or shit were going on, which were often, I would always come off that the first thing. So I was thinking, focused, straight, no fear, no chatter, just deal with what were going on. So I played the game with it many times. And anybody that's involved in that game knows well, when you come off that stuff, you've got 3 days of immense psychosis. Now, I've always seen that as the spirit of the herb doing everything it can to get you back on it because it's losing its control. So you think to yourself, well, why would a spirit of such a lovely plant really want control over you? What is it that, what's that about? Also, in that 3 days, your sleep pattern is going to be annihilated. And I learned many years ago, the way to subdue that is when you have that sleepless night, set your alarm to get up early in the morning, because you're obviously going to go to sleep by about 6 o'clock, so you might get a few hours, but obviously then you're going to sleep through the day. So what I learned was, get your alarm set, get out and exert yourself in that day. So you've had no sleep that night, get out, exert yourself, so that when you put your head on that pillow at the night, you're knocked out. And in general terms, that tends to work and breaks that sleep pattern of not sleeping. So that's what I've learned in my days of playing it like this. Now, more important, and this is important because this, having this in my mind on this occasion, has really helped me, because I've approached it in the way that I learnt and understood the last time I actually gave this up for a time, which was about 3 years ago. And I managed 7 weeks. But the worrying thing at the time was, when it got to that 7th week, and bear in mind the book script was on, they were all face napped up the lot. And I was having a conversation in town with a friend, and we were discussing all these people walking around like this. And this big guy, as he walked past, obviously he was listening, made a smart comment, something like, "We don't want to die." And I said, "Well, maybe you want to stop watching the TV." But he came back with another smart one. And I rose to it, like so much aggression, on there ready. And he walked off. He didn't want to take me on, which fair comment. But after that, I was thinking to myself, ooh, that's not good, is it? You can't be doing that kind of malarkey. And at the time, obviously, given we've had 30 years, have we not, of a barrage of nonsense from every orifice, especially through the women, can't call them females, but the women, that anything masculine is to be seen as toxic. So after that last adventure in giving it up but going back, I contemplated, what the hell was that all about? Why did I get to 7 weeks and then, oof? And what the conclusion I came to was that what cannabis does is it blocks the masculine energy. Now, in the male, that's an exceptionally important event, let's say. Match that with, as I've said, cannabis as a weapon, then to block the masculine in the males would be an absolute coup d'etat, would it not, on changing the behaviour of the male. Yeah? So, back to what I said. I went back on it because I still hadn't grasped the game. I just thought, oh, that's not acceptable. Why? Because I took on the programme, like everybody else, that kind of energy is toxic. Right? So I contemplated this after for months and months and months and concluded that that's exactly what cannabis is used for. It's to cancel out the masculine energy. Now, when you've smoked it for as long as I did, so back to 1989, which is a long time. So not only have you got the 3 days of psychosis where the spirit of the plant is trying to get you back on it, and I don't have to explain what that psychosis is. Everybody and anybody that's touched this knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're absolutely right. That's why Joe Rogan promotes it. Yeah, it's a weapon. Yeah, it is a weapon, and it blocks the masculine energy. Now, on this occasion, with that in mind, so I've applied that knowledge to this particular time, and it's helped me no end, because I'm understanding that it's not so much that it's toxic, it's that you're reappraising yourself with an energy that you've suppressed for so long that your psyche all of a sudden has to deal with this high energy. It's got the program stuck in it that, oh my God, anything masculine is toxic, it's not allowed. Back in your kennel you go. Well, no, not this time. Okay, not this time. I've used that knowledge, I've used it to understand what's going on. And last week I decided to do the live stream knowing full well I was still... because I want to pick that up in this week's live to show people by example that what I'm saying to you now is absolutely 100% correct. Your psyche is so lost and forgotten how to handle its own masculine energy, and again I'm speaking of the males, that it's a shock to the system. The program's in there already, you're programmed to think, no, that's not allowed. Well, fuck that shit for a game of soldiers. Because I'll tell you what it does. You will not placate bullshit off anybody that's masculine energy. So, as I do in the week, I'll look through certain, I'll look through Twitter, I'll look through other reports in order to build up a bit of data for this live stream. And then in normal terms, I can watch a lot of this anti-white banter coming from North African blacks and fruitcake Muslims from God knows where. Okay, but these blacks specifically from North Africa that are being flooded across everywhere, that are shitting in the street, masturbating in the street. Yeah. Now I know this upsets some black people, but let's be quite frank, guys. We're not hiding anything here just because the programme is you're not allowed to talk reality because it's classed as, oh, racist. No, what I'm talking about here is the importation of racism against the natives. It's not acceptable. I'm not having it. And I'm not having it because the masculine energy that we have latent in us doesn't accept it. That's natural law. Okay? It doesn't accept this fruitcake trans ginger crap neither, because it knows it's gobbledygook. And you're not going to placate it. Okay? You don't have to be vile about it, but you're not having it. You're not standing for it, and you're certainly not buckling under and going, oh, I'm not going to talk to you because you're offended. The masculine energy says this: I'm not in control of how you respond to stimuli. So if what's coming out of my mouth is offending you, that's your problem, that's your deal. It's got nothing to do with me. Because it's all about how you respond. And if you're not taking responsibility for your own avatar, your parts, etc., that's on you. It's not on me. Now, I've never accepted that kind of stuff anyway, so I'm not pretending for a minute that just because I smoke cannabis I've placated it. This is why I do what I do. But you've always got that in the back of your mind. Oh, well, we're not allowed to do it. Oh, no. Fuck if you're offending somebody. That's tough shit. They need offending. But I'm not going to placate it. You won't placate it if you haven't had the masculine energy blocked inside you. So back to what I was saying, going through these data as I do. In normal terms, I can watch these racist videos, whether it's coming from Muslims, whether it's coming from black Africans, whether it's coming from the Jewish quarters, the rabbis, the Abad Lubavitch. In general terms, I can watch it and go, good grief. Watching it this last week has made me go, I'm not fucking having that. That's bullshit, and it needs to be outed, and it needs to be stopped, and I'm not going to sit back and suck it up. Now that's the difference. When you remove yourself from the power of the weapon, you ain't going to placate it. So take that another step, and this week, if you followed me with my Facebook or my Twitter, the same energy is showing itself in there. So for instance, in Lancashire this week, the Tories have blocked a 10 million pound payout for potholes. So everybody went, oh, well, look, they're not doing it. I went, fuck that shit. Why are we waiting for these dicks to do this? They're our highways. It's our property that's being wrecked when we use the highways. Why don't we fill them in? That's the masculine energy. That's the masculine energy response. It's not, oh, they're not doing it. It's, fuck you and the horse you're holding on. Okay? You're a bunch of tossers and we've got to fix our own roads. Now, I've done this to myself in the past, where in these 10 years of being in the desert, as it were, certain properties I've been in order to put the car away there's big, massive potholes. And what I utilised after a day's graft, if I had some sand and cement left, I'd make a semi-dry mix, give it a good amount of cement, so semi-dry, and then I would come back home and I would fill in these holes with that. Because packing it down, if a car goes over it in 5 minutes, it doesn't do what it would do if it were wet, it just compacts it. And it fills in the hole. And each time I've done this, everybody on the street would be like, oh yeah, nice one. But never did they think of doing it themselves. Do you know what I'm saying? So again, it changes the attitude that you have in relation to this shit that's coming out of every orifice. That you have no power whatsoever. You cannot do these things yourself. That's bullshit. And that's placating bullshit. And for the males, it is the cannabis. And for you that don't smoke cannabis to duplicate it, that's because you're not really masculine. You may be in a male's body, but you're more, probably had a very domineering mother, and you've carried that on and tied yourself to a very domineering wife. Baby boomer city, let's be frank. Infected Generation X. There's a lot of people out there that do like that anyway. So we're not just stating here as a fact it's all cannabis, but the amount of people that are smoking cannabis today, the males, is outrageous. Now, they have scripts ready-made for this, let's say, demasculated male, who in a lot of terms become bitchy. Very, very bitchy. They'll chit-chat, 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 but they'll do nothing. They'll chit-chat, 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 do nothing. And there is an excellent, what we may say, narrative out there for the youth called hip-hop. Because it's full of arsewipes that smoke weed to death, bitch about everything, but do nothing. They do nothing. Tied to that is sexual deviancy, paedophilia even. And a huge, as we're seeing today, huge move and shift into homosexuality. That is the script for the bitch on cannabis. That is it, in a nutshell. Look how many kids have picked that up. Look how many Muslims have picked that up. Yeah? Now, I've been lucky in my days smoking the old magic cabbage, in that we each have glands under our ears. And about 10, 15 years ago, the growing of cannabis became a lot more popular with more people. Before that, it was select people, and these people tended, they were usually white guys, they tended to nurture the plants to the point they were using less chemistry, but more importantly, they were flushing the living shit out of the plants, which meant once the plant had cured, the chemistry was gone. You flushed it out of the system from the inside, and any chemicals that might be left in the wet side of the plant would evaporate. You were getting clean magic cabbage. Okay, now, back in the day, so we're going back 15 years, let's say, something changed. Something changed because, excuse me, I still have a cough. Dry cough, very dry cough. About 15 years ago, the wrong kind of people started to grow this stuff en masse. And they had one interest. Grow it, chop it, sell it. Okay? So they weren't interested. They weren't nurturing the plant. They were using whatever chemicals they thought would work for them, and usually based on which had the best pictures on. Yeah, come on, you know what I'm talking about. Absolutely no regard whatsoever for the customer of their product. It was about grow it, chop it, sell it. Now that's when my thingies started to show me, like a canary, you could say, I was like the canary of the day. As soon as the chemistry we need, they'd kick off, I'd tell everybody that stuff weren't going to get used anymore. Now what I also noticed is the main culprits for that are the suppliers to the Muslims. It's full of shit, and if you haven't got that sensitivity, you're not recognising it. So it's so potent as an actual THC cabbage that you're that stoned, you're not recognising that actually the chemistry in it is doing something else to you. And what it's attacking is your lymph system, your lymphatic system, which is your detox system. Yep, that's what it is. So you're attacking yourself in so many different ways. Not only you're blocking your masculine energy, but you're also poisoning your lymphatic system. Want to be looked at by Muslims especially, because you're the guys that are mad on A's, and that's the very stuff, if I've ever tried it in any other times, that just immediately kicks off those glands under the ears. It's a strange feeling because I thought I had earache the first time it happened, so I'm poking me ear, all sorts of stuff. But I realised it wasn't in the ear. It's actually, so when I looked it up and realised we have these huge glands under there, we also have them under here. And we also have them above our eyes as well. And these get polluted the same. Now, a year or so ago, I had pointed out that I had something going on in one of these things here. And since I've quit this, and I'm 3 weeks in, now it takes, well, I'm entering my 3 weeks. It takes 4 weeks for cannabis to completely remove itself from the body, from the bloodstream. That we know. Class A's are out in 24 hours. But cannabis, it remains in the system for a good month, maybe 5 weeks even sometimes, depending on the strength of the stuff that you've been smoking. So I'm still just about to enter the second week. So I know that the stuff is still in there. There's no psychosis whatsoever. And I've applied what I learned the last time, as I'm saying, with the blocking of the masculine energy, in dealing with how I'm feeling in this. And it's just made it so much easier to understand. Once you understand what's going on with yourself, what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, it makes it so much easier to remain balanced. Because this is what it's about. It's reappraising yourself with your masculine energy and then rebalancing it so that you're not kicking off like a maniac. Yet, it's there. And it's there if you need it. And that's a different kettle of fish altogether. But more importantly, you will not placate bullshit. You will not placate anything that's garbage. You won't. And that's just the masculine energy in the male. And we all need to reintroduce it back into our lives. Now, I know people go, oh, this nobody's giving up, he's preaching. No, this has been a deliberate act. And last week was there to show you what to expect. Now, okay, I was still getting over the flu crap, but the main issues that I was dealing with last week was this reappraisal of the masculine energy, and your psyche's thinking, what the fuck do I do with this? Do you know what I'm saying? So, the 3 days psychosis, you've got to sort that out, because that happens to every single one of you. Best thing to do is to stay in and don't talk to anybody. You know what I'm saying. The sleep pattern, if you can deal with that, again, that's an early issue that you need to come to terms with. And then after that, it's then dealing and learning again that what it actually is that's going on is the masculine energy back in play, in force, and you have to rebalance it. Now, I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, why are they importing all these North African fruitcakes tied to Islam? Well, I'll tell you what I'm contemplating. And that is, If the elites were convinced that the Muslims that have been here for 60 years, born here 2 and 3 generations on, if the elites were convinced and comfortable that these guys would automatically go for this new system that's about to come in, there would be no need to import these North Africans. Right? They've already isolated Muslims, or let's say given them another side to it, through such as the ISA brothers, the fronts for Walmart, which is military, the Rothschilds, which is where they're getting the money from. It's exciting, those that have been born here, perhaps the ones that are not very bright, especially the ones that have never read the Quran, they've never read the Hadiths, they've never read the Surah. They're dependent 100% on these money-tied imams in these money business big mosques. Okay, so you're under attack, Muslims. Us white honkers are under attack, and so are the black guys. We're all being hit with this blocking of the masculine energy. And we all need to recognise that that is what's going on. You see, people, I'm yeah, but I'm happy and jolly. Well, look at the fucking state of the world. Look what these tossers have managed to get in, and you accept it. That's because you're hey man. And this started in the 60s. Remember, the 50s, the beatnik, all them guys shifted it from let's look up to the sport guys, the guys that are clever, smart, and in came the leather jacket, the motorbike, the rebel. Right? They created the script in the 50s. In order, when they released all these drugs in the 60s, the actual narrative, the backdrop to what and how they had to think was already there. They just had to pick it up. Right? So all this were coming out of California. This is all your Wrecking Crew created most of the 60s tunes, with the exception of Buddy Holly, Big Bopper, and Richie Valance. They were, by their own means, exceptionally talented at creating rock and roll. Right? And Killing Rock and Roll was the ritual set for Tuesday Weld. Mick Jagger was involved, all these top guys from like the Beatles. These MK Ultra, Tavistock run super operations like the Rolling Stones, like the Beatles, because they were the main ones. But your Beach Boys, these super uber 60s geezers, most of the stuff written by the Wrecking Crew, were there to shove LSD, shove free love, this dropout system on everybody in the West. And it worked, didn't it? Because of course, look where we are today politically. They had to get you to stop paying attention. Not only did they do that, through that they got free love, contraception, abortion and homosexuality. Each, as an individual method, was stopping us procreating our race. The free love had kids coming into all sorts of family lines, besmirching the bloodlines of all our nations. Continued today, but now they want to not mess it up with your own race, but separate bloodlines. Now they want to mix it up with foreign races. Completely annihilating the Aryan stock, which is what Western Rome was. Before the Eastern Catholic Rome, the ones that pulled in the Ahriman into the Aryan dualistic Christianity through the Vikings. After the Vikings were pretty much placated after Alfred, they had to make another move. 1066, in came the Angevins, the Vikings, on behalf operating for Byzantium or Constantinople, the eastern side. Crusades, in came the Ahriman into the west. And what was an Aryan Christian ethos became this new Zoroastrian type gig. And slowly, from the Crusades onwards, became fully blown Eastern nonsense. No Aryan Christendom anymore, which was begun by the Merovingians, or before that the Druids, continued through the Merovingians, across Western Europe in the monasteries. Remember that. The Vatican system we know today was formed in 1929 by the fascists, the Prussians, the Holy See. Okay? We've gone through that. You might have missed it, but I'm for pulling it together again just so we can remember the overall narrative of what it is I've been trying to get across to people in these live streams for the last, 3 years. So hopefully, if you're smart, you picked it up. Okay? And that's good. So, back to this cannabis as a weapon. What does it serve? Well, if you've looked at the Facebook this week, the Twitter, I've presented. Now, this is an investigation by us because we're not going to sit here and stipulate that this is a fact. However, this has come from forces that I know have been seeking out this particular character since dot, because it's been in the doctrines as a prophecy that's going to be down the line. Okay? So I know this chap, this particular character that we're going to have a look at, fits the bill in accordance with those, and this is Western Rome. Western Rome, so it's South America as well, which is why you've got this fruit bat that they've just put in Argentina. So you could say the Eastern Bloc is now moving in to take over the South American form of Roman Christianity to finalise this bullshit so that this new gig can come in to play. Now remember, this new gig is princes. It's not kings, it's princes. The kings are going to be the hidden so-called elders. Now what's just happened with our fruit bats, our frauds here in this nation in the last few weeks? Well, all of a sudden, Fat Fingers went off into the background pretending he had cancer. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Nobody wanted the gig. Everybody run off. Well, of course that's going to happen because they've already got this set up. We have a prince, do we not? A bold one, who's now telling Israel how it is. It's caused havoc in Parliament. It's exposed itself as it is now. And I've said this before, as we stand today, and I'm sick to the teeth of this. All you're getting in politics, they're talking Islam, they're talking Judaism. What the fuck's happened to Christianity? It's fucking England. It's America. It's Canada. But no, the only banter in the politics, in the media, is Islam and Judaism. What the fuck has happened? Oh, well, I'll tell you what's happened. Cannabis as a weapon against the males, in sync with the fruit bat females, or women, telling the males that everything about the masculine side is toxic. We don't need you anymore, government's going to pay us cash, fuck off. The kids are fucked, the schools are fucking the kids up, the state's fucking the kids up every which way it can. They've created a massive industry of child trafficking in your face, but they've got you looking at Q, Trump saying it's all going on underground. Yes, it is, but that's the big boys playing in places like Haiti, like any war zone where there's dispersion of people. That's what's going on with that. But right in your face, right this minute, is an industry completely controlled by the Masons. In order, the Masons can make sure their own kin have the industry dish out from the state. The way that it's set up, this family courts, social workers, corporate schools, corporate police, family courts, it's so set that they know they only want their own to be able to utilise the fostering money, the adoption money, the care money, etc. But they can't tell you that, can you? They can't just make it clear that that's what's going on. So the way the system's set in this industry is that they have so much power, if you're going in to be a fosterer or an adopter, that they can let you in so that everybody thinks it's open to everybody, But in 25 minutes, they've got so much bullshit that they can get protected by the courts, protected by the police, social services, the schools, etc., the councils, etc., that they can have rid of you in 10 minutes. You've got to start to see that this is how it's working. The trafficking of humans is going on right in your face. The masculine energy can see this, it's not having it. You know what I'm saying? You need to get back on. You need to really consider now, chaps, is it time to loose yourself from the weapon and bring back your own masculine energy? Because we're running out of time. They've rebuilt the whole system in the east. You can see what they're heading. They're trying to position us for here. We can't make us own anything. We can't function without... Yeah, this is what this deindustrialisation is about. So that we can't function. You've got the farmers, rightly, not happy. But one particular player in Wales, who I've been following for quite a long time, and, you know, everything he says I liked. And then all of a sudden, one day, Rees-Mogg's at his house. Then Portillo's at his house. And then again this week, Rishi Sunak has been there. This guy's a player for the crown. And this guy has positioned himself over the years that people are going to look up to this guy. He's a shithead and a shill. Now I've made this clear on his Facebook so that people can understand what I'm trying to say. That we don't want to let this farming gig just become another branch, an arm of this crown shit. And some people have understood it and picked it up. Now this week he's announced that he's blocking people. He says that are giving him death threats. Pound to a pinch of shit, I can't. That's the one, Gareth. Gareth Wynne Jones. That's him, right? I've been watching this for a long time. He says everything right, but this guy's a shill. And he's a new one. But the Welsh, because they're kicking it off in Wales, I believe the Preston boys is going to kick off next week. But he's running that in Wales. Yeah, TB's going on, all this stuff in Wales, so that's where it's going to be led from. And he's the shit. Farmers, open your fucking eyes. Because I put something up this week, a bold farmer with an hat on giving it the right angle, which is you, the public, and the farmers need to reconnect. You go to your farmer and say, well, what can you provide for me? And then open your own shop and sell it to your public. It has to be this way. Everything in these supermarkets is killing you. The fruit, the veg, everything. You saw something this week where they're now putting these vaccines in tomatoes, in your food. You can't be buying food like that from the supermarkets. We're at a last chance corral here, people. And I'm saying, we are not going to get there if the masculine energy in the male isn't pulled back. Now, last week, okay, maybe a bit over the top masculine energy, and in the comments that you left, which I appreciate, were pretty clear you thought I were broken. Now, two males who I know don't take cannabis, sent me emails letting me know, thank you, we understand exactly what you're saying. Right? So, as lovely as your comments were last week, you're not seeing it. You're programmed to this, everything masculine is toxic. You need to address that in yourself. Okay? You need to address it. Because you've got girls now going, oh, where are the males? You've fucked them up. Everything that males do, you've already ordained as toxic. You've now got Tate and these other tits who are toxic masculinity. Raising themselves up with this dream team, your Jones, your Rogan, Tucker Carlson, all these asswipes. Piers Morgan, all these shitheads, Carol Vorderman, all these, GB News. They're all pushing the agenda. Now I just want to read this to you because this is exactly what they're doing. The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion. Right? So they're creating the paradigm in which you can speak and act in an acceptable manner. They're creating that. They've done that already. Everything masculine is toxic. but allow very lively debate within that spectrum. Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson. Alright? Right? You getting that? So you think you're getting everything. It's going on, we've got Alex Jones, we've got all these shitheads. Lively conversation, saying it as it is. Yeah. You dig? That gives people the sense that there's free thinking going on. Does it not? I mean, so many of these women that got caught up in all the protests on the nuclear through the 70s and through the 80s, now they're in the 60s and the 70s. You're all so fooled by this. Brian Gerrish. You know what I'm saying? These are not your friends, these people, but they know how to tap into you so that you believe there's free thinking going on. While all the time, the presuppositions of the system are being reinforced by the limits put on the range of the debate. So it's like a feedback loop. We've discussed feedback loops before. They've got you all in a feedback loop. Same with the cannabis. You know, you've got that anger, a big part of you in the feedback loop that's been pushed into you. Oh, we can't do that, it's not, it's toxic. Is it toxic? That's why the fucking spirit of the herb in that first 3 days is having a mad panic because he's losing control of you. Or it is losing control of you. I've fucking no idea what sex it is. You with me? So, you can see it's a weapon. And we don't have time. Time is short. You're all going to have to start coming to terms with this. Are you going to carry on with the herb because it's, hey man, you can put up with anything, or are you going to reappraise yourself with your masculine energy? Your wife, your mum, your offspring, your dog, your cat, your chameleon, your ferret, they all need you to come back to being masculine. So you're going to have to do some graft. And last week we're there just to show you this is the kind of stuff you're going to be dealing with. Especially if it's been a long time since you've allowed the masculine energy to play itself out within you. Now I hope that makes sense. UK column redacted. UK column. I know Brian. I know him. Alright? So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of people, and it is difficult because this is how it's been made. But I were far more, let's say, potent from 2001 to 2014, previous to the internet. But then when I came on the internet, than I have been since I came back on the internet in 2015. I had to start again completely. I lost the entire American audience, which is the audience you need. You know, America is where it's all going on. That's where they're still armed to the teeth. That's where they still have a strong sense of freedom. But they're being shafted like you wouldn't believe by the likes of Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, ad infinitum. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, let's just have a look at what you've got to say, and then we'll jump into this. What does this weapon serve? So Lex says, evening Sean, good to see you back. Evening Lex. John says hello, and John says good vid, which it always does, even though the video hasn't started, because he's lovely. Hello John. Mew says good morning, afternoon, evening, and welcome to another edition of The Wise Asylum. Good evening to you, Mew. Slipknot says, alright Sean, alright everyone, and we get the smile of the emoji. And Slipknot says, good to see you on. Thank you, sir. John gives it the old clapping handies. Good on you, John, I'm glad you've joined us. Paul says, good evening Sean and everyone, good evening to you, Paul. Guitar Girl says, good evening all. Sean, glad you decided to live stream tonight. I never intended not to. I made a decision before I went on that live stream last week, and I said at the beginning, this could get interesting. Okay? And it's in order I can give it this way today, because it is important that people start to recognise, get off the fucking weed. And when we've gone through what it's serving, you might just give you that little impetus to push you that way. We all needed to kick up the arse anyway. Well, I do. Exactly, you did. Every single one of you out there needs to kick up the arse because it's very easy to be entertained. Really, we're past the point of entertainment. We need to be getting off our arses and starting to recognise that we don't need these dicks. The roads are fucked, let's fix them. We need food that's not poisoned. What are we going to do? Farmers are there right now saying, come and see us, let's see what we can supply you with. So we in turn say, well, we don't want vaccinated chickens, we don't want vaccinated lamb, we don't want vaccinated cows. We want the old school cows that don't produce this shitty milk that everybody's having reactions to. This is why Foot and Mouth, CJD, slaughtered all the old stock and in came this new shit. We need the farmers that still have the old stock. So DEFRA has to go out the fucking window. Everybody has to grow some balls here. We've explored all through these live streams that the reason they've got you is because you're on person. You're not man. You're person. All this shit is affecting person, not man. And I had a very interesting session in the registrar's office last Friday, which, remind me later, we'll discuss at the end. Very interesting indeed. Let's just say I had two registrars shitting bricks. Shitting fucking bricks with the information that I presented in that meeting. Shitting bricks because the game was up and they fucking knew it. Now, we all need to kick, and John says, yes, true to that. Yeah, it's a good sentiment. We do need to kick up the arse. We're running out of time, people. Mew says you can get a prescription for the green here in the UK now. Oh, yeah. Cottage Ying, devil horns, not you. Well done, that lady. Or male. Slipknot says we need BDFN to get through the withdrawal. What's that? BDFN. NF. BDNF. What's that, matey? John says, yeah, true to that also. PY says, evening all, evening Paul. Debbie says, careful stereotyping, not all women dislike masculinity. Well, I'm not going to be careful, Debbie, for the simple reason is that I'm beyond giving a fuck about people's opinions. And people's, oh, I'm offended. If you've offended anybody out there, fuck off. I don't want to talk to you and I don't want you listening. Fuck off now. Yeah? Now, can you see? Last week you thought that we're all because I'm broken. No. This is how the mail works. It's fuck you and piss off. Don't come here pissing down my fucking leg, talking bollocks. Because if you don't go away, you're going to get a smack in your mouth. That's what's missing. That people know they're going to get pain. So they keep giving it their gob. I'm going to report you for this. Fuck off and do it. You're not addressing a person. They can't do fuck all. Do you understand what I'm saying? We've lost the confidence because we've lost the knowledge. And we believe that we have to obey this garbage. We don't. So I accept what you're saying, Debbie, but I rebut it in its entirety. Mew gives it the thumbs up to PY. Mark says, hi Sean, hello Mark. Anthony Moore says, it's super strong hybrid plants too. It is. But don't get me wrong. It's a very pleasant way to exist. Because you're not getting excited about anything. You've dropped out. But you're bitching about it. Waiting for somebody else to do it. The council, the government, the police. Isn't it pretty clear today the police are supporting this shit? The private companies. The schools are supporting this shit. The private companies. They get 12 grand for every referral of a child to social services. NHS just gets 40 grand every time they get somebody on chemo. See the game, people, and get fucking angry. Righteous anger. Okay? We're not talking about going out there and beating folk up. But make sure when these fruitcakes come at you and are talking bollocks, that they know, you make them know that if you carry on, there's going to be consequences for you, cock. Then they'll run off back into their little fucking hole and shit the pants. Because all these gobshites are cowards. The only courage they've got is because they think they've got backup. Yeah. Slipknot says that's why Joe Rogan promotes it. Exactly. Anthony Moore says yes, Slipknot. PY says Mupate thumbs up. Yes. I think we have a conversation to have, Paul. Debbie says, I think it promotes apathy. Of course it does. You will put up with anything. Anthony Moore says, cannabis weed was weaker back in the day, more natural. Yeah, but even so, it's a stepping stone, and it still did the same gig. You know, it was all solid back in the day. It's still not yet out. It did the same. It's not as strong as this stuff, but it still did the same. Cancelled out the masculine. And slowly but surely they've upped it and upped it and upped it until it's affecting the psyche in a way that's not conducive to balanced behaviour. Mew says the change from ash to bud is massive. It is, you're quite right. I watched many a person get paranoid on bud when they first encountered it in Holland. Yeah, it's not. We know it's not for everybody. Some people are so enveloped by fear that when they actually open their mind that little bit more, all they get is more fear. Or even if you're surrounded by negative energies, when you open yourself up to that, you're buggered. Like some people can't take the mushroom. They have a bad trip every time. It's because of where they are spiritually. And that opens them up, they see it, they blah. That's the way the game. Debbie says you always need to analyse what triggers you. Absolutely, you're correct there, Debbie. Anthony says offence is taken, not given. Exactly. But all these fruitcakes have inverted that, have they not? So that the victim becomes the perpetrator. And that's exactly what the world ADL have been doing forever. Attacking the victim as the perpetrator. Now the Muslims are doing the same. Right? It's a game. And the target is you. You and your kids. And it's only going to get worse. Quite right, if you're offended, tough. Very true. Fucking damn right. Fuck off. I didn't know. I'm not interested. You're offended? Go away. Go and watch Joe Rogan. Go and watch Alex Jones. Because they are offending you. You just can't see it. You're placated because you think somebody's doing something. And yeah, all they're doing is fucking your mind with bullshit. John says, yeah, true. Slipknot says, between stimulus and response, we have the freedom to choose. Exactly. We are the deciders. But you're only it's about taking, own it. Own it. Whatever situation you find yourself in, own it. Because there's only you can clear it. The council won't, the police won't, the government won't, blah, de, blah, de, blah. Yeah, your celebrities won't. Rogan won't. They're doing nothing. They're a talking shop. Hip-hop won't do it. It's a talking shop. The only time it got violent back in the day, but it had nothing to do with weed. That were power. Different groups trying to take power in these recording studios before it was launched to go super mental. That's a weapon. John Francis says, dominant mum, now a 33-year-old alcoholic. Yeah, I wouldn't allow my mother to dominate me. I didn't even allow my father to dominate me. And my father were a fucking guy to be reckoned with. No, I didn't have it. I wouldn't have it. I've never, ever succumbed to that. Schools tried everything. They're not having it. That's just me. But I'd take responsibility and take whatever came. I had the cane so many times at school, it was fucking ridiculous. Because I was saying, fuck off, what you're telling me is garbage. And I ain't having it. End of fucking story. So that is my nature, anyway. It's all about the yield for the new growers, exactly. Grow it, chop it, sell it. No care whatsoever for the customer. Slipknot says, Sean, get a sauna for quicker detox or sweat your balls off on your back. Well, interestingly, so I had that 4-day where I was knocked out. Then I was dealing with the coming off the cannabis and the fags. I've gone back to the fags. So I've missed that opportunity. But I'm not particularly bothered. But I have this cough. And it's very dry. And I'll be sweating every night in bed. So there is something detoxing. And it's probably the magic cabbage. But maybe the magic cabbage detoxing is getting rid of other things also. Like, we're in the shower tonight, and I have said on there before that I have something going on here. The fucking blood that came out my nose in the shower, quite immense. And I thought, that's good. That's good. You know, I've been playing with the methylene blue. I'm still not sure what I think about it, apart from it clears the mind, it does, and it gives you a bit of a spring in your step. What it's actually doing, I'm yet to work out. Concept probably the same for alcohol withdrawal. Well, I've always been lucky. I've never been a fan of alcohol. You know, for me, I used to drink when I went out, but I went out for the crack. Alcohol was just a part of it. But no, I've been lucky that way, that I've never been picked up by alcohol ever. Never had it in the week, never drank at home. It was just weekends back in the 80s and say it's the mid-90s. After that, I found those little magic things, little pills, and away I went. Never entertained alcohol again. It's only in the last maybe 6 years that I've actually, if I'm out, I'll have some. If somebody offers, I'll have some. And it's still a very rare thing. Because it's disgusting. Unless you're getting the Italian stuff on draft, it's absolutely disgusting stuff. It's full of fluoride, it's full of chemistry. You're not actually getting pissed. You're just getting high on whatever shit is in it. Remember, it's brewed in the UK, it's brewed in fluoridated water. Is that why they were bumped off? Who are we talking about there, Anthony? Are we talking about the hip-hop boys? No, because they had power, because they were talented, and the likes of Beyonce and her shitbag, whatever he's called, and these others, they were killing guys that had the talent because they didn't want to go and play for them. They were dealing with the others. So if that's what you're discussing, yeah. But also you've got to remember as well, and you have signed into the entertainment industry and you're successful, there comes a point where you're worth more to them dead than alive. Because they own everything. They own the copyright of everything. Yeah. So Prince, for instance, if he did actually die, that would probably be the reason. George Michael, if he did actually die, that would probably be the reason. David Bowie isn't dead. He's just an occult shit. Tupac, if he's dead, again, what he had were worth a lot of money. Michael Jackson, worth far more dead than alive. If he's dead. You know? Elvis wanted out because it was starting to come out that he were only happy with girls at 14. You know? So I'm not convinced that he died. I think he just wanted out. But we don't know. We don't know. But we do know Paul McCartney died in 1966. After a big fallout with John Lennon in the studio. He died in a car crash. Having a fit, driving away. We do know that. George Harrison's told us. Ringo Starr's told us. MI5 don't want you to know. Because the Beatles were 100% controlled by MI5. Stone's the same. I have a image of Keith Richard when he were in 65 with the Maltese Cross. All these people are in. These are they're with this elite shitbag stuff, this breakaway civilization. New Romantics in the 80s. Well, if you actually listen to the 80s lyric, it's pushing homosexuality and nothing else. That's what that's pushing. So, it were big, great music, great artists. But if you actually listen to the lyrics, stepping back and outside the emotional side, that's what we're being pushed there. Now, when I was in the mystery school back in the day, what I were being taught was that there were going to be less Romans incarnating into the West and more Greeks. So there they were sort of Now, they might be right. That might be how it actually works. I don't know. But they were definitely, if they weren't true that that's what were happening, they were certainly putting down the foundation for acceptability. Homosexuality is as old as time. I don't have a problem with homosexual people. I know quite a lot of them, and they're very sensitive, intelligent people, a lot of them. What I don't like is that they're preaching it in the schools, telling everybody that you have to be it. You have to accept these fucking numpties that are running around on the transgender gig. That's where I have an issue. Don't actually have a problem with people that are homosexual. I don't. As I said, I know a lot of people. And, a person's sexual preference is not my fucking business. Heterosexuals don't run about, do they? Unless you're males talking about your conquests. But in general terms, if you've gone past the youth side of things, you've settled down, you've married, you're not out with your mates talking about your wife in bed, are you? It doesn't happen. It's conversation for infants and the youth. It's not conversation for the grown-ups, is it? So, that's the case. I don't want to hear homosexuals thinking they have to talk about it and I have to listen. You know what I'm saying? And we've lost that. Now it's this younger generation believe that we all have to listen to their opinion and suck on it. Well, no. The masculine energy says, go away, child. Go away. There's going to be a consequence and you're going to be a bit more than offended. And they'll run off back into the little safe space. But they're not getting that because there's no masculine energy going on. It's like, they'll report me. Well, they'll report your person. So if you're still person, you're going to get your ass smacked, aren't you? You see how everything works together. The most important thing you all need to grasp is you're not a fucking person. You're a man in the private, male or female. And you have an interest, shared interest in that person. Yeah? We were never asked, says June. They took the English nationality away in the 80s as well, so we are all British. I do not consent. Well, I'm English. And I'm fucking proud to be English. Not because I'm stupid, but because I've studied every single culture you can imagine. And nothing comes close to England as a doctrine for freedom. The freedom for you to take self-responsibility. And as you do that, you can raise yourself up the system. That's what it was originally. And I love that because there's nothing better. Nothing. America improved on it because they took Blackstone and Koch's common law data and formed a constitution on it. Same again. The Americans are dumb as fuck. They have no idea, no concept of the difference between a man and a person because it were completely taken over by the Zionist movement through the Schofield Bible. And every 2-bit backstreet church over there in the US is a bitch of the satanic alpha. We were never asked, says June. No, we weren't. But we never went out of our way to educate ourselves. I did. That's why I'm looking. I made a choice in 1992 or late 1992 to enter this path. Not fully understanding what it were. Yep. Now, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do what I did, but it's the only game on the fucking table. And me here now today, I'm so glad I did. I might whinge a bit and cry a bit because it's not working. I've not got fucking this or I've not got that. But as a spiritual sentient being, it's the only game on the table if you want to pull yourself back to who you are. And what the fuck you're here for. John says, gripping stream. Good, I'm glad. I'm glad that you're getting this, chaps. Cos says, hey up the old Cos, you missed some good shit going on tonight, my friend. Ched's one, Gareth. That's right. That's the shitbag. I have a picture of him. We'll have a look at him in a minute so people can see him. Because he's all over Facebook. I think he's on YouTube. He's on all these shitbag things. And he's got a massive following. But remember, they're gonna try and spearhead it from Wales. North Wales, which is the Prince of Wales' hunting ground as a title. Yeah. There's another title as well. It's Prince of the Isles. I can't fucking remember. No, I'm going to stop there because I can't remember. But it's all fixed up in Anglesey. The home of the Druids. Druids were there for a reason. These bastards have been utilising it for a very, very fucking long time. So which farmer is called Gareth Wyn Jones, and I'll show you a picture of him, Debbie, so you can watch out for him and push this, because the farmers are going to get sucked into this and they're just going to become another crown bunch of shit, and then we'll end up starving. June says our food chain is crap. You damn right it's crap. It's poisoned to death. Put one up this week, a black guy showing you Warburton's half and half. He said it's half shit and half shit. Why? Because bread is made up of 4 ingredients. Water, salt, yeast and flour. That's it. Anything else is garbage. That's what bread is made up of. 4 ingredients, people. And somebody added that it has to be a specific flour. I can't bring it to mind. Get on my Facebook and have a look. I put so much good stuff on there, but I don't really pay attention on Facebook. But anything I find that I'm not going to use in my lives, I'll just stick it on Facebook for anybody that's interested. Ulick McGee. Hey, Jerry. Oak Tree, that's kind of real men who brought me up. It's what's missing now. Damn right it is. But the toxic, you know, you've got Tate and these tits going, I've got money, you will accept me having 3 women. That is to keep cementing in people's head that that's what masculinity is. No, that's garbage, toxic. And Tate, remember, has been accused of trafficking women. No smoke without fire. And people are going to still accept him because they're fucking stupid. Because it fits in with the hip-hop shit. Bitchy. Bitch, bitch, bitch. Because that's what males have become on cannabis. Bitches. And they're doing nothing. But they'll bitch all day. Hip-hop makes, yeah, bitch with that, man, yeah. What are they doing? Fuck all. Just bitching. Debbie says, it's not about being offended, it's about keeping an open mind and not judging every fecker and assuming you are right about everything. Only a fool thinks they know everything. Well, you're quite correct. Unfortunately, on this occasion, I know a fucking lot. And I know a lot. Which is why I do this. I get your drift, kid. I get your drift. But that's not me. Okay. Miroslav Nikic was worried that you giving up the podcasting. No, but I did want to see people's response. And there were a lot of response in them comments and you were all thought I were broken. Didn't you? Let's be honest. Only 2 males that I know don't smoke cannabis made contacts and said, thank you for that. We know exactly what you fucking mean. Yeah, of course it were extreme, it were over the top. But I made a decision to do it knowing full well it could have been worse. So I didn't listen back to it for a couple of days, which is why the links were late to come up on it. Because I were a bit, you know, people were even suggesting I took it down. There was nowhere where I taking it down. So when I did actually look at it a few days later, I have to be straight with you. There were only a couple of points in it where I went, ooh. The rest of it, I said, that's fucking bang on. It were better than I expected. Yeah? So I'm very happy with last week's stream. Debbie says, aim your anger correctly, not just a scattergun approach. Well, you've got a lot to say, Deborah, about how a male should behave, haven't you? And you're welcome to your opinion. Ulick McGee says, comma, chameleons. Well, aren't they fucking all? Let's be honest. Lex says, Sean, I think that flu and detox has done you good. It was a spiritual gig. It had to have been. Otherwise, I'd have just carried on. You know, yeah, so you're absolutely right. Sometimes these illnesses that you have, it's a spiritual thing to shift you. I mean, yesterday was a gateway, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you knew it or not. Right? A gateway. What was it yesterday? 24th. Yeah, a gateway. Now, I've been aware of that for quite a few months, waiting for it to happen. So I've been very aware of what's going on in my little world, ready for this gateway. First it's the flu, I'm off the magic cabbage, and yesterday, again, with the universe, I've agreed to walk this path they're putting before me. Again, okay? So, this is how I operate. I might not tell everybody. But yesterday was a gateway, it was a full moon also, and I've stepped through the gate. What it's going to entail exactly, I'm not so sure. But I've agreed that I am prepared to do it. So let's see what happens and what it's going to bring. But the first thing it's brought is what we're going to look at shortly, if I can stop rabbiting. Buddy Holly, etc. Yeah, rock and roll. Real artists that didn't get anything from the Wrecking Crew. If you're not aware of the Wrecking Crew, they were the master session musicians of the 60s, and nearly every riff, every rhythm that you know from the 1960s came out of their studio. I don't think any of them are dead. No, it's the only way out. When you've created an audience, the powers that give it you, that you're contracted with, will not let you out of that in case you left, wake the fuck up, and then reappraise your audience and drag half the world back on to the real game. They won't allow it. That's the contract. When you sign that contract, you are signing your soul away. Now you might say the devil. No, you're signing it off to the corporate, the families that run this shit. Yeah? And they're not going to risk you getting a following only to turn around and say, get stuffed. Now, Prince began to do that, talking about chemtrails. But in my mind, Prince were sullied because he was a Jehovah's Witness. And anybody that was sucking to that nonsense is already half-baked anyway. So, I don't know whether he's dead or whether he just had enough. But if you've had enough, you don't want to play along in the new game, that's your only exit. You know what I'm saying? Now, Amy Winehouse, uncontrollable, wouldn't play the game. And she had all the old school in her arms because of the jazz. Yeah? It's very dangerous to let her continue to accumulate a huge audience and not be controllable. So, in my opinion, she probably was techno. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I did look into that back in the day, and the neighbours, that's where you get the data. And she was fucking screaming blue murder because somebody was doing something to her and then they found her dead. So it was pretty obvious that was something really bad was going on in her apartment that night. So I'd go with that. Mew says, glam rock, new romantics. Exactly. That's exactly what the 80s were about. And I said before, it hit home for me a couple of years ago when I was doing a kitchen and this guy was working on there doing his electrics. And he had 80s, just an 80s channel on all the thing. And I actually listened to the lyrics and they were like, fucking hell, were I fast asleep in 1980s? Well, yeah, because I never used to listen to lyrics anyway, unless it were a political band like Dead Kennedys, Bauhaus, Sex Pistols. Not Clash, because the Clash are just socialist fucking communists in my opinion. But the Pistols, Bauhaus, Dead Kennedys, those sorts of bands, I actually used to listen to the lyrics. But all other music, I'm only listening to the music. I weren't interested in the lyrics. But on that occasion, I started to listen to the lyrics and I was quite shocked. How everything were just pushing this fucking demasculation of the male and pushing in this fruit bat shit. Mr. Half and Half is a Jabberwocky. Who's that? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean there, Debs. Guitar Girl says, 4 questions I ask myself every single day. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? And what am I here honestly? Well, I answered them questions a long time ago for myself. So I know who I am. I know why the fuck I'm here. I know what I'm doing. The only thing that bothers me sometimes is I get a little bit pissed off and I think, fuck it, I've had enough. That's probably the only issue. But other than that, no, I fully understood those concepts a long time ago. because I'd sought to know. It didn't just fall out of the sky. You know what I mean? What's your Facebook name? Sean House Young. S-E-A-N House Young. Slipknot says, that's what Ali G was for. That were a bastard enough. Did you hear him? Have you heard his politics? The guy's a Jewish guy, it's Cohen. His last name's Cohen. Now, when you get back into the old stuff, Cohen is rabbi, priest. That's what they are. Let's just get this into perspective. If you look online, you will see that the Torah Jews, the Jews of the Bible, make a distinction between themselves and this Zionist garbage. Abad Lubavitch, the Talmudists, the ones that claim that Islam is theirs, they created it, and it's the broom for them. And I'm going to show you that that is the case. Unless the Muslims reckon with the fact that they're letting their imams run them outside the Quran, which means they're submitting to a law, Sharia law, that is not in sync with the Quran. And that's because they can't be asked to seek the knowledge which the Quran also creates. So it's on them. But they're being dragged off into law land, just like the Christians were, the Jews were dragged off with the Talmud, and the Christians were dragged off with the Schofield Bible. Or the Protestants were anyway. It took 1929, rejig of the Vatican, because Pope Pius X was a good, he said to the Zionists, no, basically, piss off. We're not sanctioning and blessing you taking over Palestine. We have no problem with you visiting it. Then they got the shithead popes in again. They nearly got a good one in. You have to watch Godfather 3 for that. And then they killed him on the 33rd day as a signature. He were another good pope and could have changed it all. And so they totally took over the Vatican. Yeah. But 1929 when the fascists reorganised the Vatican. Before 1933. So when they go on about these trusts, SQVs, etc., being as terrible as they are now, and putting it back here even all the way to Justinian, bullshit with a capital B. It's a very recent gig. Was Grand Sean just a crossroad or a bump to change direction? Was Grand Sean? What do you mean, mate? I don't know what you mean though, yo, China. I will need to watch the last stream then. You will, cause. Ulick McGee, confirmations, I'd call it. Religion of Gravity. Bob Dylan said he sold his soul to the devil. Bob Dylan couldn't sing to save his fucking life, and Leonard Cohen wrote his lyrics. He was there to uproot the peace movement that were actually growing amongst the folk scene, the folk music people in America. And how he fucking did it is beyond me. Well, I'll tell you why, because they were all smacked out on LSD. But Bob Dylan is the biggest fucking scam artist. The guy can't sing for shit. How anybody looks up to him, it's because the lyrics were Leonard Cohen's. And you don't have to take my word for that. Look at Leonard Cohen's lyrics and look at the best of Dylan. Then you'll understand what I'm saying. Same with the Wrecking Crew. Rock and roll were killed so that the Wrecking Crew could be its entire session musician writers for it all. Including Beatles, including Rolling Stones. That's not to say everything Rolling Stones did. I mean, I appreciate the Rolling Stones' talent. I appreciate Led Zeppelin's talent. But they were satanic as fuck. The singers, let's put it. Not the Led Zeppelin singer. I think he had a lot of problems because of the fact that Numbnuts, I can't remember his fucking name, we're doing major satanic ritual following Crowley. It's no wonder John Bonham died. Yeah, John Bonham, in my opinion, died because of the fucking nonsense that the dickhead were doing with his satanic fucking ritual stuff. I can't remember his fucking name, probably, because it's not important. But he wrecked Led Zeppelin, playing with the fucking satanic shit. I was thinking of something similar last night, Jerry, 69, Bob Dylan, but Holy Spokes, I thought I saw you on the cabbage in a past live stream. No, you've never seen me on it. You've never seen me smoking it on live stream. I wouldn't do that. I thought I do enjoy a talk, but I do own 5 synthesizers, 5 guitars. It helps workflow. Right, well then you've never tried writing music and listening to music off it. Okay, so we have all these little reasons why. Well, no, we have to stay on it. Well, it's the music. It sounds so much better. No, you fuck. Listen, when I had a band that started in '90, and the band that we started were High Energy, right? Massive High Energy, because we were just fucking pissheads. We would just drink, nothing else. And that band was so high energy. It was the girls that fucking followed us everywhere. When we played a gig, it was fucking wall to wall, 10 rows back, females screaming at us. Right? I kid you not. Fucking high energy, you wouldn't believe. Then, in crept the weed. And then, the music changed completely. Don't get me wrong, the music was fucking excellent. But we were no longer high energy, the girls didn't give a fuck. They weren't interested, they weren't coming to our gigs. Keep that in mind. Alright, Cos says Govan Hill Studio. Hello to you. Solving this, glad you're back. No worries, mate. Sup Gibby. Roger Waters. Don't know what to make of him. Although he's slated. Who's he just slated? Bono. Which is right, because Bono is the biggest shitbag going. So I don't know what to make of Roger Waters, to be honest. Debbie Bernard, I loved Bauhaus. Oh, fuck, absolutely. The guitar on that was just... And the lyrics. I learnt more about Greece and shit like that from their lyrics, which prompted me to study it. Yeah. Fix the fireworks, says Govan Hill Studio. Cos, cool. It was the power supply then. Okay, you're having a chit chat. Tree says, hi Sean, hi folks. Hello, Tree. Did Mussolino dig Rome out of the dirt? Well, I'd say not. No, personally. Jimmy Page, that's the shithead. Now, I've listened to the celebration gig that they did, and it's just fucking awesome. They've got John Bonham's son doing the kit. He's not John Bonham, let's be honest. But my God, Kashmir sounds absolutely awesome in today's PA, today's recording technology. Oh man, and I can listen to that all day. I really can. Because the music were awesome. You know, you've got to remember with these people are artists. These people were born with the talent. But they get sucked up into the evil side of things. So it serves that. The talent I appreciate. The politics, perhaps not. So where are we? Jimmy Page, yeah. Beat me to it, guitar bill. Yep. I'll put in context next time, Sean. Last week's gig. Nice one for that, Jerry. Oak Tree, Oak Tree. Right, we're going to get... He did buy Alistair Crowley's house. In fact, he sold it not that long ago, if I'm correct. Bono is a traitor. Bono is a fucking wank. I can't believe his band keeps playing along with him. They're all in on it. Yes, they are. You won't get anywhere unless you're in on it. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen unless you're being fed. I was being pushed into... Right, here in Burnley, we have a company that creates high-end recording studio called AMS Neve. Anybody that's in recording will know what I'm talking about. James Stewart Nevison runs that company. Right? Phil Collins had a studio in Burnley. And AMS Neve, back in this time, which were about 93, when they were pushing me to Phil Collins through AMS Neve, he built the first digital workstation that it was like a big thing. And Phil Collins, the guy that I was talking to a lot, were commissioning that for Phil Collins. So they were pushing me into that. The good thing about it is I never liked Phil Collins. I thought he was fucking shit. But I could see that this gig with Prince Charles, they're all tied into Prince Charles, these guys. Because they were running the Duchy of Lancashire. Remember this. So this is what I was involved in back in the day. And they were pushing me that way. Fuck off. I weren't having it. You've got to be coming through their gig. You've got to have their energies before they'll put you together with it. Otherwise, it's not going to happen for you. I was thinking Hakate and Crossroads and New Paths looking at full moon last night. Yeah, a gateway. It was a gateway day yesterday. So whatever you were around yesterday, whatever was going on in your mind, whatever stuff were around you, whether you know it or not, you've stepped through a gate. And you've stepped through a gate that's going to play itself out to whatever you deserve at that point. Paul, did you know Alistair Crowley's house in 2020 passed for planning permission to restore it, apparently to be a relaxation retreat? Fucking hell. Do reverse speech on Jimmy Page, yeah. I didn't drink, right. Right, fellas, girls, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look now. I'm just thinking what I'd start with, actually. So I just want to put this in the mix first. Is there a difference between ISIS and Israel? No, there isn't. Okay? So I just want to embed that in your minds. So this week, on the one hand, Charles is bigging up Ukraine on war. Days after William starts to stick his oar into Israel, causing chaos in Parliament. Now, I do wonder, is William going to be the prince operating for the King of Jerusalem? Or King Juan Carlos of Spain, who remains to this day the King of Jerusalem? Remember, this system that they're bringing out is a prince system. And the kings, so-called, are classed as the elders. But we know that Charles is just a bitch. They're all bitches for something else behind. Yep, and you get into the protocols, you get into all that malarkey, that this anti-life guy is only a front. But it's a prince gig, not a king gig. And that's very important. You keep this in mind. And again, another reason why they're trying to get rid of Tolkien's work, the Lord of the Rings. Right. We'll just whip through UK politics. The birth rate in UK falls to record lows. Campaigners say procreation is a luxury. Right? That's where it's going, folks. Especially given what's happened in the last 4 years. Well, 3 years. I'm going to speed them up a bit because they're a little bit slow. Now this is China involved in corporate fraud on a large scale on safety documents relating to the UK infrastructure. Right? And here we go. Chinese hackers drew up plans to target UK government data. Well, China is a corporation run by the same bastards that are running all this shit. You've got to keep that in mind. Okay. Short of a revolution in China, this gig is going to play itself out. Okay? But while they have China fixed, it's going to play out. Saying the most qualified person should get the job is microaggression. Now the Mail says, go kiss my fucking ass to that. It's not going to placate that. So he's not going to accept it, is it? The government figures 70% of transgender prisoners are in for sex offences or violent crimes. Okay? This is why you shouldn't be promoting this stuff, you crazy women. And I'm talking to the women that do. This is the image and picture we can see clearly shining in this week's bullshit. But, you know, the Labour is basically Islam. You've got to see that as well. And even though they've had 103k signed in the petition, the government is saying we're not debating the membership of this World Health Organization treaty that is voted on in May. So May, people, you want to be very careful, keep your eyes on what's going on abroad, because if you get caught up abroad, these lockdowns could be permanent. Police Scotland considers not investigating minor crimes after pilot scheme. You were going to have to become the police. Because these are a bunch of shits working for the 21st degree no-hide judge. And here you've got Sadiq Khan. All about ULEZ and now it's all about the environment. But yet all these cars now are going to Ukraine. So they don't give... It magically become harmless when these polluting vehicles get sent to Ukraine. And white families don't just don't represent real Londoners, says Khan's staff guidelines. So this Khan is a racist bastard. And there's been a lot of talk this week. One guy in particular has been suspended for claiming that Khan is controlled 100% by the Islamists. Khan is controlled by the Crown. So Tony is playing an active role in drawing up Labour's agenda, that's Blur, especially its health policies, along with Lord Mandelson and Campbell, the spin doctor prick. Okay, and Sue Gray is plotting against Blur rights in Face Off. Remember, folks, it's theatre. And Keir Starmer received 50 grand donation from pro-Israel lobbyist in leadership bid. Okay? But remember, we're going to look at something now that's going to show that this new system that they're going to claim to be Islamic is 100% Talmudic Jew. And the Yorkshiremen are being very naughty by claiming that over here in Lancashire, which is where Tolkien was, is actually the hellhole of Sauron. That's because they don't want anybody to remember that they're actually the sheepshaggers. You know what I'm saying? So they're hiding. This is the fella. Gareth Wynne Jones there with his little scarf on. Sucking up to Sunak. This is the guy that they want to lead this farmer rebellion. Be very aware of this pillock because he's a shill. Okay? And on the world news, interesting. Chelsea Clinton said, I get so sick of people degrading President Obama because he had the courage of conviction to marry a transsexual. Because some women are born with a penis. We must end transphobia today. Obviously, the Clintons teaching the kid, she's obviously dumb as fuck. And this is in Berlin, that schools now, if anybody goes anti-Israel, the schools have to report them to the police. Shit. That's what happened to Germany in the Second World War. It got demolished by the Allies, so it could become completely 100% controlled by them. And scientific misconduct accusations are leading to retractions of high-profile papers, forcing reckonings within fields and ending professorships. So this is going on in Switzerland. So this false garbage science that came through Epstein, that we've discussed many times, is now beginning to be undermined. Yeah, expect a false flag. Right, folks, I want to get into this. It's not super long, but it's very, very, very important. What does cannabis as a weapon serve? Okay. These are a couple of videos. Right, so we've watched that one. Sorry, I've copied it twice. Oh, I've copied it 3 times. So just a minute. I don't know what the hell I've done here. Alright, so obviously I'm thick as pig shit, and I thought I had 3 separate videos, but I've obviously copied the same one. Now, who is this fella? Like I said at the beginning, I know the forces that have been looking into this, seeking out this particular guy for a very long time. And they're quite happy that they've found him. Now, if we go to the wiki, which of course is in a foreign language, but I've translated it and presented it as a PDF on the site. This is the guy. And again, Morocco. Now, Morocco is very important, and I'll tell you for why. Because during the Crusades, Morocco became the place of pilgrimage for all the Muslims because they couldn't get to Mecca. Now, if you've got any sense about it, you'll also understand then that that's where the power over this new game Islam is coming out of. I've met the Moroccans in London because a friend of mine were actually had one of them as a boyfriend. So I know exactly who they are, I know exactly what they're up to, and I know exactly what kind of mindset they are. So this is basically the free bag. He apparently traces himself back to Muhammad. This is his tree. And there's links if anybody wants to pursue this. But I'll just pull it back over here because I've translated it. I don't understand why it's come through rather thingies, but it's Hassan of Morocco, Rabat, 8th of May 2003 is when he was born. And he's the Crown Prince of Morocco. Prince Hassan was born at the Royal Palace in Rabat in 2003. He's the eldest son of Mohammed VI and Lala Salma. His name is in honour of his paternal grandfather, Hassan II. After completing his primary studies, he entered the College Royal of the Royal Palace. At the end of his second year at his school, he decided he wanted to become a pilot, a choice which his father had no objection to. Can you see this? Because I haven't checked. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, chaps. Let me just put this in order, so my apologies. Oh. It's a good job I checked in it. Okay, my apologies. So I'll just flick back that for you. So there it is, a bit of a same picture that's on this thing anyway. He became a pilot, a choice which his father had no objection to on the condition that he continued his training as heir to the throne. He then changed institute by enrolling at the Preparatory College of Aeronautical Techniques in Marrakesh, where he completed his training as an aviator. He finished his secondary education in the spring of 2020, and in July it was announced that he had passed his high school leaving exam with honours. He obtained an international baccalaureate in Economics and Social Sciences. Since October, he's been studying at the Faculty of Governance, Economic and Social Sciences, FGSES, of the Mohammed V Polytechnic University. He speaks 4 languages fluently: Arabic, French, English and Spanish. Official duties in 2014, he made his first public appearance, participating since then in numerous official events alongside his father. On the 14th of June 2017, he met on an official visit with the King Emmanuel Macron at the Royal Palace in Rabat. At 14, on December the 12th, 2017, he attended the One Planet Summit in France, earning international admiration as the youngest participant. On 2nd of February, in bulk, 2019, he attended the funeral of Henri d'Orleans in the Royal Chapel of Dreux. On November 17, 2022, the International Exhibition and Museum on the biography of the Prophet and Islamic civilization, he was inaugurated at the ICESCO headquarters. And there's the family tree again, a bit blurred, I don't know why. Foreign honours: Grand Cordon of the Order of the Republic, Tunisia. Ribbon for Ordinary Uniform, Grand Cordon of the Order of the Republic, Tunisia. Notes: Susan Flancer, Crown Prince Moulay Hassan of Morocco, in unofficialroyalty.com, 19 September 2020 URL. So these are links. So anyway, it's just there so you can see it in English. So And there again is the gig. So now, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, I've touched on this before. So John Wayne was one of these guys. This is a completely and utterly Masonic gig in Morocco, and they call themselves the Ancient Egyptian Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine. Okay? It says, so I put this together 7th of August 2019. Excuse me. The rabbis are very clear as it relates to the enforcement of the Noahide laws over the world of the Gentiles, or Goyim, which is to be centred in Jerusalem and controlled by the Sanhedrin through a rabbi-led Supreme Court, with the intention of forming a new United Nations in Israel to enforce the will of the Sanhedrin over nations through the already achieved incorporation of the state. In previous reports, it presented the root of all subversive scientists as having origin in the Egyptian mystery schools. In this report, we shall explore the Islamic priesthood of imams who are moving to install the unwritten laws of Islam over the written laws compiled in the Quran. This presents the fact, as declared by many rabbis, that political Islam, born of the secret Sufi sects, is the broom of Israel, the direct result of political Islam being subservient to the rabbis. So this is your money Islam, yeah? Not real true Islam. Because if you've read the Quran, this system that they're putting in is not in sync with it at all. In essence, the rabbis are the priesthood of the hidden pharaonic bloodlines, and radical Islam is the military force on the streets in all nations they have taken root. That is, if real and Western-born Muslims fail to recognise the deception. Undermining the Quran. The John Wick trilogy, for those having seen it, is an insight into the dark world of the secret society underworld we know as the Illuminati. So I would encourage Muslims to take note of the following secret society fact. The shrine is referred to by the imams generally as the order of the unwritten law, as distinct from the written law. So this is basically doing the same as the Talmudists did to the Jews, which is import what was the oral law, the Talmud, and the Zohar, over the Torah law, the laws of the Old Testament. Distinct from written law, it says, which is the foundation of the Quran. You see, in the Quran, and I have done a report on this, it's very clear that Muslims have to seek knowledge. That means they have to read it themselves. And more importantly, when they're in other countries, they have to obey the laws of the nation. That's what Muhammad commands. Not, as is the case today, they're operating in contract with the empire because it's paying them free fucking money. Okay? Because of that position, they're submitting to the Sharia, which doesn't follow the Quranic law. And there is the gig that they're pushing in the unwritten law over the Quran, which is the written law. So you're being shafted, chaps, in exactly the same way the Jews were and the Christians were. Okay? And because you're not operating according to the laws of the nation you're in, you are kafir. Not because I said so, chaps. Because your book says so. Now, when I wrote about this years ago, the elders of the Muslims in my area made sure they met me and they understood exactly what I'd put in their attention. Okay, that's what they saw this. If you're following this ISIS fucking ISA brothers gig on money, you are not operating in accordance with the written law, which is the Quran. Not the Hadith, which are commentaries, not the Surah, which are commentaries. Okay? The Islamic Jurisdictional College, IJC, which is based entirely in the written law, so that's the Quran, as ordained by the Quran as opposed to the unwritten law of the Sufis, made a declaration in 1978 on this very matter. Now, when we went through Mithra, the Sufis are very involved in this fuck-up, or the installation of the Ahriman, or Iblis, or Shaitan to the Muslims, Satan to the Christians. Okay? So he's basically saying that the Islamic Jurisdictional College made a comment on this very matter in 1978. Okay? Have I put it in? Where is it? Oh, here we go. Is it? No, I don't. Oh, one. So, if we have to go down here, sorry. I'm confusing myself with my own writing. And that is found in a PDF, The Grand Orient of Freemasonry, unmasked as a PDF. So if you want to see what your own Supreme College on these matters said, go to that link, number 1. We probably haven't got time to do it tonight. Now, the Fez. This is the Shriners. These are Masons, okay? John Wayne was a Mason, a Shriner, etc. So, this guy is tied into this guy that we've just looked at. And you can therefore see that whatever he represents isn't Islam at all, it's Judaism, or Chabad Lubavitch. Yep, the oral law Jews of the Talmud. Not the Jews of the Torah or the Tanakh, the Old Testament. This is how they've done it to everybody. And the Muslims at the moment, they're being the youngest religion, are obviously the last one to get shafted. And unfortunately, I am not seeing any signs that they're not falling for it. They're jumping all over it. Which, when you incorporate England back in the mix as the fact that they have to obey, we then have the authority as a nation to deal with this shit in a way that's required. However, if I can get this across to the Muslims out there in general, that in following this shit and jumping on it, you're actually kafir. Your own religion tells you that you have to be killed. So not only would England sanction major action against you, your own book sanctions your killing by real true Muslims. Now, if you haven't read the Quran, you're not going to know this stuff. But I have, which is why I don't suffer apologists for this stuff who haven't got a fucking clue what they're talking about. I won't stand for it. You don't know what you're talking about. I did the work, I fucking do. Right? And that's not bigging myself up, I'm just pointing out the fact that so many people out there are bigging on these opinions and they don't know their ass from the fucking elbow. So apologies for the excitement there. Significance of the fez. The nobles wear rich costumes of Eastern character made of silk and brocaded velvet of oriental intensity of colour. The ordinary costume for street parade is conventional black with the regulation fez. When pilgrimage to Mecca were interrupted by the Crusades about AD 980, the Mohammedans west of the Nile journeyed to Fez or Faz in Morocco as to a holy city. Among the flourishing manufacturers of the city was a head covering called the tarbouche, now known as a fez, which was dyed scarlet for the students in a great school at that city. In that way, it became a mark of learning and gradually displaced other forms and colours of hats. It was carried in all directions by caravans and thus became the distinguishing headdress of Muslims in every part of the empire. Okay, so let me just go back here. Where is it? West of the Nile. So this is in Arabia. Okay, so all the Arabs that would have gone to Mecca couldn't, so they went here. Okay, that's important. Who is it that resides in the mystic shrine to which high-level members of Freemasonry do worship? It is, of course, Hiram Abiff, one of the architects from Tyre, Phoenicians, that built Solomon's Temple. Well, Solomon's Temple was just a system. Okay, it didn't really exist as a temple like they promote because there's no evidence of it at all. According to Sufi master and historian Saeed Idris el-Hashimi, 1924 to 1996, known as Idris Shah, the Al-Banna Sufis from Egypt helped the founding Templars to understand and master their archaeological findings from the Temple of Solomon, teaching and training the first Knights Templar during the formative 9 years of excavations. The Egyptian Al-Banna order provided key knowledge of the ancient origins of Christianity, saying, "You may have the cross, but we have the meaning of the cross." Now, as I discussed last week, everybody's on the cube. When you lay out a cube in 2D, it's 6 in number, and it's a cross. And you've got these fruit bat Sufis who we've looked at through the Mithra stuff, letting you know that even though they helped the Templars organise the system, they basically were saying you still don't understand the true meaning of the cross. Okay? Everything changed in the Middle Age of Crusade, the consequences of the dark pact between the Templars and the Kurdish Salahuddin, the ramifications of which today are experienced in all aspects of oppression. The Egyptian mystery schoolmaster of the Muslim Sunni Sufi Hashishin order, which is who the Templars made deal, and that's why the Western Rome or Aryan Rome attacked them, because they were assassinated. They did the same system. They had assassins in every monarch's gig. Okay, that's why we don't remember. We weren't Catholic Christians. We were Aryan Christians. And the eastern side of it, the Constantinople side, has despised us forever because of that, and it's took them a long time to fuck us up. Provide additional training over the years for restoration of the ancient priesthood from Egypt, which the Templars recovered from the Temple of Solomon. The Arabian Magi ascended master, Grand Master Rashid al-Din Sinan, 1132-1192 AD, came to be affectionately known as the Old Man of the Mountains. Now, if you've watched John Wick 3, that's who he's gone to remove himself from his power. However, if you notice, what John has to do is sacrifice one finger for service. Okay? One specific finger. Whereas if you want to get rid of these bastards, that's the finger. Alright? So that's why I mentioned it to you last week. I'm not fucking about. I'm telling you something. I'm teaching you something that I know you don't know. The Muslim Shia Sufi Ismaili order also made many significant contributions to the infrastructure and institutional organisations of the Knights Templar as a chivalric order. The Old Man of the Mountains is, of course, the Canaanite El. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the sky. I will raise my throne above the stars of El. I will sit on the Mount of Assembly on the heights of Zaphon. Isaiah 14:13. Though the Hebrews were led out of Egypt by El, they continually fell to worship of the bull or Baal. Evidence that the Jewish God Yahweh is in fact Baal can be seen in the following parallel. And then we go through that. Now, we're not going to go through all this. If it's interesting to you, crack on. But this young lad, who, to those who have sought out this character for a long, long time, are quite content that they found the blighter. Alright? Does that make sense to you? Yep. So I've kept you for 2 hours. Hopefully, last week's adventure, you'll understand now, was to show you out there what to expect if you're going to reintroduce yourself to your masculine energy by getting off the weapon that serves this system. Go back to the 70s and 80s. Where did it all come from? The hash, Morocco, Lebanon, Tunisia, and Afghanistan. Right? That's where it came from. And as we had more and more Muslims enter this nation and the West, they brought it with them. So this system has all the Muslims that are on it trapped into that, and it's spread to us. We're all dancing to this anti-life system. We are making consensual agreement with it, which is why it's been so powerful and they've been able to put this shit in because we've all been placating it because we've let go of the masculine energy. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I will bid you good night and hope you have a good and fair week. Till the next time.
Moroccan.